Dying Light 2, the sequel to one of my favorite games of all time, Dying Light, and is honestly really good. I'm going to talk about it today, kind of go over everything that this game has to offer, and just polish it off a little bit. Maybe like a mild car wash, I guess, but for those that are wondering, I'm only doing this because of the Dying Light the Beast coming out in like 3 days by the time I'm recording this, so enjoy the video. In Dying Light 2, you plays Aiden Caldwell, a pilgrim basically sent from place to place delivering supplies wherever it's needed. This being said, this eventually leads them into Old Villedor, which is like the last human settlement, I guess, in the entire world, which I don't know if that's exactly true. I guess that's just what I kind of got from it. And eventually that leads you into the Central Loop, which is still a part of Old Villedor, but it's just like the different parts of the map and stuff. And obviously you meet new characters and returning characters. I guess the one that I can remember is Spike. Shout out Spike. Yeah, and the main goal of the game actually for Aiden changes slowly, I guess, depending on how much you really care, with different changing storylines and just different paths that you can choose. The big goal that doesn't change is how Aiden is secretly looking for his sister, with the GRE testing on him and his sister to try to find a cure, I guess, for it. It's kind of confusing, I guess, but it is a good story. I guess I can polish it off later, but that's the biggest thing, I guess I would say, is just how it kind of takes the player to this brand new world that they created, instead of Haran, which I think is like, they mention it briefly, I guess, in like the intro cinematic and just other like, you know, cutscenes that happen. I guess they briefly bring it up, but it is just a cool setting and just different like atmosphere that the first game kind of has, which I'll go over later. One of my favorite features or aspects of Dying Light 2 is honestly the gameplay. The gameplay is a big upgrade, I feel, compared to Dying Light 1, especially in some regards. However, it does feel a little lackluster when compared to kind of the perfected like formula they kind of had in Dying Light 1. Now, what I mean by this is how I feel like the combat against humans is 10 times better than it was in Dying Light 1, especially with the block ability, being able to just, you know, actually punish enemies for over-attacking instead of just dodging out of their way like you were only really forced to, I guess, in Dying Light 1. However, I will say that the kind of punishment they give this game in general is just how they don't have a lot of focus on, like, different ways to kill zombies. Does that make sense? Like, they have a lot of the reused assets, or not reused assets, but different, like, mechanics that I guess they kind of brought back, and that's all they really did for zombies, I feel. They have a couple of nice things, like the like charge, where you like can grab onto a fucking zombie off a roof and just fall down. Like, that's really cool and that's really fun. But like some features and stuff that aren't really that like useful in like actual combat settings, unless if it's like, you know, really cherry picked, if you will. Now, this isn't really a part of the gameplay feature, or maybe just map design or something like that, but I felt like in Dying Light 1, the game really didn't feel like you could do anything really in any area and still make it like a moment, if you will. However, in Dying Light 2, I find myself honestly going to the same couple of places and then just doing stuff. Like, the free running aspects, which I'll go over later and polish them off, because I think they're literally the best in the series, which I guess depending on how you feel about it, that's not that hard. But what I'm talking about is how they really kind of have like a couple of moments and just settings for the player to just mess around with. And I'm not saying that it's like impossible to have fun around the entire map or anything like that. What I'm really saying is that it's like, it really wants the players to go to these 4 or 5, or it's probably like, I hate to say it, 6 to 7 locations of just fun places, I will say. And maybe it's like the journey between those, you know, couple of locations, and, you know, I guess that's maybe their total design. But like, I'm not going out of my way to go to like the wharf or something, or, you know, a different location that's like fucking 40 miles back. You know, it's like, it's such a weird, and maybe this is just because of how good they design the maps and how it's like, oh, I only stick to those, you know, 5, but it's like, I feel like that if this is also kind of maybe going to like the design and atmosphere and setting, so I'm sorry if this kind of fucks over that. But what I'm trying to get at too is just like how maybe they just need to design it better, I guess, to make it feel a little bit more connected. Does that make sense? And I guess what I mean by connected too is maybe just take all of the good aspects of that one area that'll keep people coming back to that one area and just try to morph it into other new areas and kind of just make one big long like road, if you will, that connects all of them together, and then that'll kind of mesh everything back together, like kind of just slowly transforming over the like into their like setting or like kind of atmosphere that that area is going for. Does that make sense? Coming back to the gameplay actual point of this segment, I'm going to talk about the parkour now, which I think is like, honestly, in my opinion, I think it's better than like Mirror's Edge. This is just me though too, because you have those like little quote unquote obstacles to fuck around with. Like I played a little bit of like Mirror's Edge Catalyst when I got my PlayStation, and that was a lot of fun and stuff. I think like the Russian Badger probably made a video on it, and then I just got it because I'm a fanboy. But what I'm talking about too is just how they like give like those zombies and stuff, even though they're just like on rooftops, which I guess I don't know how the fuck they get up there, but you know, you just see like survivors and stuff that you can kind of mess around and like bandits to deal with. And just honestly, the world design with, I know I was talking to kind of like how they don't really give a lot of access to like fight and stuff on them, but like when talking about the free run aspects of it, it is fucking amazing, at least in the central loop, which obviously they kind of want the player to have everything at their, you know, reach, I guess, if you will, to fuck around and just try to like get good at like doing it. And honestly, that's what I spent a lot of my time doing after I beat the game. Now that I do sound a little bit more like critical, I guess, of this like overall game, I will say that this is still one of my favorite games to just hop on and mess around with. I think it is one of the most refined versions, I guess, of the mechanics in a game until like maybe I guess the Dying Light the Beast. We'll see how that goes. But at the time of this coming out, obviously, I'm just like, I enjoy every time I get on. I feel like there's very little things to get like bored with. And like I said too, there are those like really like lost areas and stuff that have their own little atmosphere to kind of venture off to, which I respect a lot with kind of like that setting that they go after. But like I said, it's like they don't really go out of their way to like make those places really cool and like very fun to do like stuff in, other than like just maybe like venture off like once or twice. Now that I kind of went over more stuff than just gameplay, I'm going to talk about more things that I feel like could have been better in this game, and just some other things that I missed about, you know, stuff that I liked. The soundtrack for Dying Light 2 is really good. I have polished it out beforehand, I think. Maybe not, maybe in one of those videos I was talking about. But the idea of a like interactable soundtrack I think is so cool. So for example, whenever you're running or you're building up momentum and stuff like that, the song or the soundtrack will change depending on what you're doing. So whenever you jump, for say, this music will suspend a little bit, and you can still hear it. It's kind of like muffled. It's like think like when a character jumps for like a building or something like that, goes into slow motion and it slows down and waits until the impact to pick back up again. It does the exact same thing. Now whenever you're running through a building, it'll muffle a little bit to like kind of show that you're getting followed by like a camera, I think of when it's like a chase scene almost. Some other things too is that it's like it just picks up more with how much momentum it is, and I don't know why, but I haven't heard this like aspect or just kind of like this detail, I guess, where like Aiden will talk to himself when he is free running and stuff, and it'll be like, you know, something like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, like he'll talk to himself. Bailey, put in a clip if you want to of what Aiden would say and stuff, of just like it's such a vibe that I get when listening to the music that's better than like Mirror's Edge. Like like I'm bringing it up again, but when I hear the music and just free run and all that stuff, I really do think of like a parkour game. I don't really think of the zombie aspect of it, which maybe is its biggest like downfall of it, is that it doesn't fit the vibe that Dying Light should be going for. Now with the same composer and just different producer, I guess, of the music coming back for Dying Light the Beast, I have heard a little bit of snippets from the new like soundtrack and stuff, and I will say I do have an edit already in mind for the first video I make on Dying Light the Beast, so thank you whoever did that. But you know, it's dude, I'm looking forward to it, let's just say that. I will say the one thing I have been pretty public on is how I dislike the nighttime in this game. As a Dying Light 1 stan, you could say, I am absolutely in love with the mechanic in general of nighttime. Now, this isn't a new feature to any new game or anything. However, there is some downgrades, like the overall like process of it turning daytime or nighttime, with how it like basically slideshows the day and just different skies that they input, showing that the day progressed. Which I didn't really notice until a couple of videos like I watched, so I thought that was funny in the first place. But when talking about like the scary aspect of night, it's not even a thing really in Dying Light 2. There are like upgrade or like filters you can add to the game that just allow it to be a little bit more like dark and scary, you could say. Like one of the comments in like one of my first ever videos on Dying Light, they were like, yeah, you should turn on the darker nights thing because it's like more scary and stuff, and it makes the day look like cooler. And I did after that video, so whoever that comment is, thank you. And yeah, I mean, like, I wish the nighttime would be better, especially when like how impactful it was to the first game's identity. And I guess that also kind of just goes into the more theme of like a hopeful or like different design that they had kind of in mind for like the theme of this game. Now, I'm not mad about that in any way. I think it does a good job when you have an idea for what you're doing, and it's like, I feel like in this game, I feel like they kind of just threw something together. Not like rushed or anything, I felt. I mean, maybe it was, I guess, to some, but that's kind of where I feel. It's like, this is a really cool game, and then it feels like the nighttime was kind of like an afterthought, which I feel like was a wrong choice on their part. Now that this is a little bit further into the video, I'm going to go over some of the parts that I actually forgot to, so I'll put this maybe in the, maybe in the segments where they actually need to. But the characters that I liked in this game, or just kind of the overall, like, people you run into, that I thought were pretty memorable, such as like Hakon. I think Hakon is a great character. The actor for him is gorgeous. Let me just say, Lawan, who is played and like voiced by Ahsoka. I don't really know her name or whatever, but yeah, she plays Ahsoka, so I always thought that was cool. Like those two characters being able to pull and grab and stuff right away, and it's just like, that's kind of cool that they have like those memorable characters and stuff. And there's a couple of other people that I can list off that, I mean, might be like spoilers, but there's like Waltz. He's a cool villain, I think, with some of the like twists are like kind of predictable, maybe, I guess, if you kind of connect the dots. So that's kind of nice that they have like a fitting characters for, I guess, the world that they built, which is always good that it's like, they didn't have like a bunch of like gritty and like hardcore players and stuff in this really like upbeat and like bright world. The skill tree in this game, which another thing I completely missed on, is honestly really long. It takes me a while to do it, honestly, and that's kind of the grind aspect of it, is how it's like, oh, okay, well, you can rush through the entire campaign and then miss a bunch of skills. And another thing too that I feel like is a little like annoying to do, that I hope they don't make the player do, I guess, a lot, and the thing is too that it's like, it's fun the first time when you do it, but like having to like replay it and over, or like a replayability aspect, I guess, isn't that fun. So what I mean by this is like how they have immunity, or what are they called, immunity boosters or something, that are scattered all over the map. They're hidden in crates that you have to find with like a GRE access key, that like, or a detector or something, that beeps and just kind of tells you where to go. It's basically like a game of hot and cold, or whatever it is. And it's kind of annoying after a while, but like the first like couple, or like just first playthrough, it's kind of like fun to just, oh, okay, I gotta go upstairs, and then it's like, oh, it's actually like 30 meters away, so it's like, okay, now you gotta go down and all that, and it's like, it's kind of like a cat and mouse game, but the mouse doesn't move. It's kind of annoying. Another thing about like the replayability aspect is, just from what I've been trying to do when I beat the game, is to get like military tech and stuff that you get with like using the GRE access key to like open up different like military crates, and airdrops, I guess, that are scattered all over the map skin, mainly rooftops that are like, really hard to get to, other than like, a bunch of like hand-picked locations that are like, okay, you gotta climb up all the way up there, use a paraglider, which I completely forgot to mention too, I'll talk about that later, and like basically, yeah, you use the paraglider, glide over there, then you have to glide over to another building using air drafts to fly over there, and then use the grappling hook, which is also a lovely feature that I completely blanked on. I don't know how the fuck I didn't remember these. And then you find it, and then you have to do that another 2 more times to upgrade those said abilities or just equipment that should be just good from the get-go. That's my opinion, though. Something I completely forgot to go over were actually the equipment that the game gives the players, which the first one obviously is going to be the grappling hook. It is honestly, in my opinion, a better version of the grappling hook when talking about the parkour aspects of it. That's why I hate bringing this up. It's how they changed it from being like a very like basically like Spider-Man, but not even like where you hook it and then you just get pulled right to it, you know. But in this game, it is way more like momentum based and just more physical than the first game that actually promoted more parkour than negating it, if that makes sense. Alongside that, they also took off the pyro, or I forgot what it's called in the first game, but it's like a little Mario like glide thing, like this, you know, squirrel ability or whatever. With now a full like parachute, like kind of glider that you can use. It's called the paraglider. That is like a little backpack you put on that you can change with like outfits and stuff. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go over that. And this changes depending on how much you upgrade it with those like said upgrades and stuff that I talked about. And it's like it's nice in the moment, but like when you finally get it, I guess that's when it's most fun. It's not like the grinding aspect of it. It's when they're all done. You kind of just have to suffer through it, I feel. But what I mean though is that it's like I just feel like when you fully upgrade everything in this game, it is really rewarding, and maybe that's what they're trying to go for more of this, like, you know, just more points and stuff scattered around. I don't know. I feel like it would be better if it was like a skill tree or like a skill upgrade instead. And that's where this video kind of rounds out. I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't really know what else to talk about. I'm looking forward to Dying Light the Beast, and I hope you guys are as well. I'll be uploading a video probably later this week, just, you know, of my playthrough and all that, and then maybe eventually like I'll do like a video format like this for the Beast when I'm done with like how, you know, I feel about it. I'm gonna try not to do like a right out of the gate upload a video about like how I polish it off basically, but I'll be honest in my overall review and stuff. And with my playthrough condensed and stuff, I'm sure you'll probably get a lot of my initial, you know, impressions because it's my first time playing the game. But that's it. Thank you guys very much for watching again. And if you guys want more content like this, let me know in the comments. Peace.